You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 12 with myself, Clark, joined as always with Hyung and John, who returns this week after a 1 week break. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Clark.
Good to hear. John, we might have found a permanent replacement for you in Will, who did a great job filling in last week, eh?
I heard, man. Will's a natural. I knew he'd be bang on with this stuff.
Yeah, it was fun having him here. Okay, so when we were originally prepping for this episode earlier this week, the big news in the hobby, if you guys remember, was the sale of a Honus Wagner T206, graded SGC 3, and that sold for a cool $6.6 million if you include the buyer's premium.
Damn.
But who cares about that, right? Because there's been two big or huge news reported this past week, which in my opinion dwarfs even the $6.6 million sale of the Honus Wagner card. Mm-hmm. So let's just get right into it with hobby headlines. I want to lead with the more recent news, which is that Fanatics, the online sports apparel and memorabilia company, just acquired the exclusive licensing rights from Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Union to become the exclusive trading card producer starting in 2026. So I just want to issue a caveat. It's not official. Fanatics or Topps or any of the major players in this agreement or in this deal haven't released anything official, but it's been reported in mainstream media from apparently reliable sources. So that's what we're going off by. All right, so what this means is really the iconic Topps company, which has been producing baseball cards since 1951, is out. Details of the agreement are slowly leaking out, but what we've heard so far is that Fanatics is looking to create a new company to oversee the production and distribution of these trading cards. And it's rumored that StockX founder Josh Luber is going to head up this newly formed company. So before we get into our discussion on what we think this all means for the hobby in the near future, there are also reports that Fanatics also has agreements with the NBA, the NBA Players Association, as well as the NFL Players Association.
That's crazy.
Which means essentially Panini, that currently has licensing agreements with these groups, they, like Topps, are about to lose their licensing agreements when it expires. So a lot to unpack here, but let's focus on what we think could happen once all these deals are finalized and we enter this new Fanatics sports card world. I don't know where to start. But
I know.
Maybe
it's so crazy.
Maybe we could start with what do you think is the future of Topps if this is all true?
That's it's unfortunate because the collector in us, we all love Topps and what happens with like the first chromes, those are iconic cards that the collector in us are gonna miss, right? Because at the end of the day, Topps is baseball, right? You're looking at even on the basketball side with Topps Chrome having some iconic cards, and going in that direction, it's, as a hobbyist, it's kind of sad news, but I'm actually optimistic about this just because we live in a world where it's changing, and we've created an industry, a marketplace that obviously Fanatics, who kind of crept in from behind, they have crazy amounts of resources that can potentially make the place a better space, right? So I'm very optimistic with things like this. I think there are a lot of flaws with the marketplace, and I think these big players that are coming in are going to essentially clean it up a bit, where there's a little more structure, there's even more direction maybe of what their kind of like future goals are with the sports card industry as well, right? And them being in the licensing already, right? To me, it was bound to happen. I guess it was inevitable. So
yeah.
to me, I'm optimistic there. It was huge news, just bad news as a hobby from a hobby perspective. But overall, I think, and even stuff like I think in last week, Jay-Z was involved with the sports betting side with Fanatics as well. So they're opening, they're going hard in that as well, right? So, I mean, you're playing with the big boys now, right? This is what we said. As we get more eyes on the hobby, I think it's going to overall be, a positive thing, optimistic thing if it does happen. So yeah, I have two sides. I'm pretty sad that I'm saying this because Topps is baseball, but on the flip side, I guess there's areas where we could move forward, I guess, right? So
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that it's humongous news, that's always good for any industry, right? Like any news is good news. And I mean, I have a tough time because collector first and foremost, thinking about the fact that Topps Chrome, the iconic Topps Chrome refractors may or may not be around in some of the major sports. It's kind of felt like a bit of a sad day, but at the same time, I don't know. Obviously it's huge. I mean, the news, if the deal does go through the way that we're hearing it's going to go through, the Players Association and the leagues will have a piece of this new venture, right? So it's not just a licensing agreement, but it's sort of like almost like a partnership, which is amazing for the hobby because these leagues are now completely invested in sports cards and trading cards, right?
Sure.
So in that sense of a word, I mean, like Hyung said, like this is probably really good news. But as we continue to unpack this, there's just so many layers. Like how is Fanatics gonna roll out their distribution? How are they gonna do this? What's Topps gonna end up doing? Like there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. So it's crazy news just to even try to think about how to process this, right?
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with your main points, guys. And I think when Hyung, you mentioned it was inevitable that this was going to happen with the hobby boom, right? When all this money is coming into the industry, like I think that was the inevitability. There's going to be players looking to profit off of it or make it even better. And here we are with the Fanatics deal. And yeah, it's when you first sent it through our WhatsApp chat, I was blown away. Like it was so stealth, like it was like no one got a whiff of this development, and it had to be months, maybe over a year in discussion to get this deal done, right?
Right.
But and of course, like if you look at what the players unions get, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a big boost for them. They're making their coin, and that's what they want, right? And that's the thing. You gotta take care of all that, right? As from Topps and Panini's perspective, they have to, go hard after that, making sure that no one else could sneak through the back door. But obviously everything is, we have to accept that we live in a capitalistic society, right? That's the way our world is run. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, businesses are in it to make money, right? So they're going to try doing whatever they can to kind of cater to that. And I think as long as it's all taken care of, I think it could be a positive step for sure.
Sure.
Do you guys think that Fanatics will inevitably buy out Topps and Panini?
I was gonna ask that. Yeah, like when I asked what the future of Topps is, I think it's one of the scenarios that everyone's talking about. That people think it's inevitable that with the deal going through for Fanatics and baseball obviously being a huge part of the Topps bottom line, that Topps will cash out, and in that sense, as collectors, we can be a little bit happy about that because then Topps brand will continue, right? Like we won't lose that brand completely. But it makes sense to me. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, because when you think about it logically, like I don't know if Fanatics already has like a huge robust plan in place, but to figure out, all the machinery to make the cards, logistics, distribution, like that is a lot of manpower and research. And that's something that Topps and Panini have perfected to a degree. But there is some criticism to their quality control, but to a degree, they've done like an amazing job over the last, they've been doing this for forever, right? So to me, it only makes sense that in order for Fanatics to run this smoothly and run it the way that it should be run, they would have to would have to purchase some kind of sports card company that already exists and builds cards and prints and all that stuff, right? So
it'd be cheaper. Yeah, it'd be probably cheaper that way.
yeah.
But I'll say this, because the MLB license agreement doesn't end until 2025, 2026, there's time for them to figure it out too.
There is,
right?
yeah.
Right,
They got
yeah.
like 4 years.
So
It's a lot
And
of
I think-
there's a lot of money to spend though to like figure it out. That's the point I was trying to make, right?
what, Fanatics is a $18.2 billion
Yeah,
company.
Yeah.
They could afford some R&D, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But it'll be definitely cheaper to acquire a company like Topps. And you know what? Like Topps, what are they left with afterwards? UEFA, soccer,
Right.
UFC,
F1, UFC,
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I mean, not much in my opinion. I think it's a different story for Panini though. Like they were doing okay without basketball and football before their more recent agreements with them. Like they had the stickers and they had I can't remember what, like from the news I've heard, they've had a lot of other properties to their name. So I don't know if they go back to that. Obviously football and basketball was a huge get for them, and losing at that, well, they will have to adjust accordingly. But I think Panini is in a better situation to stand on their own than Topps is.
I wonder if we heard the A-Rod news, like a month ago or whatever. I wonder if A-Rod's group, once they did their due diligence and they found out like this is coming down the pipeline, if they backed out.
Right.
Because it's been quiet on that, that after that little buzz, after like a couple of days, it was pretty quiet, and you haven't heard about that ever since, right?
Remind me, what was the A-Rod news again?
Because it was A-Rod and his investment group were about to purchase Panini. Like there was rumors that they're looking to purchase Panini.
Got it.
Oh, that would definitely be a game changing decision.
Yeah, that's a big no for sure.
Yeah, the contracts are everything, right? Licensing is everything, and
Yeah.
that's what the company's worth.
Well, even with Topps, right? They're about to merge with that SPAC company, Mudsrick, and I heard that is now squashed.
Right? Yeah, that's squashed. That was a big deal too. That was in the billions, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like pretty much after this news, you can almost assume Topps and Panini are like on death row, pretty much waiting for their death. Like, what's their motivation to sell right now? Like, I think to myself, are they going to now just try to sell as much as possible before they die, or are they going to just try to sell as much as possible to kind of like bolster their portfolio as much as they can before they sell to eventually to Fanatics? Or like, the questions in my mind for the hobby is like, what is their motivation behind providing to the customer, right? Like, are we going to see great products? Or are we going to start seeing a whole bunch of trash and them coming out with 150 different products just to kind of cash out before their inevitable doom, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen in terms of producing as much as possible. Like, once an interesting scenario for me is, can Topps build up the other alternative sports
Yes.
in the next few years so that it could be a viable business? Like,
Right.
they
It's
go
the
all in on
diversified.
UFC. They go all in on soccer, which is growing, right?
Yeah.
They go all in on F1, which is also growing.
Right.
Maybe they build it up to a point where, like, yeah, we're not going to be making as much as we did with, when we had the MLB licensing, but maybe that's a play. I don't know. Or
Right.
maybe they build it up anyways, and then they sell it for a lot
Exactly,
more than they
yeah.
would probably be able to get before.
Yeah.
There's still time though, right? So I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's like you're running the business, whether you're Panini or Topps. You have your year-to-year goals that I obviously it's going to change a bit in terms of their direction, but I believe they're going to keep as usual. They have stuff that they have to, they have their schedules that they have to hit for their releases. I think it's gonna, I think they're gonna take it in a professional way because this is a lot of money on the line, regardless, right? And
Right.
3-4 years, a lot of things can happen in the next. Look at 3 years ago where we were in this hobby, right? You don't know what technology is gonna come into play. You don't know. If it's going to totally change Panini's game or Topps even, right? They could have something up their sleeve where, all of a sudden, the digital market goes crazy. And I know like it's
right.
kind of like 50-50, but that's the reality of kind of like, I think, the society we live in. We're going through a massive change, so it's fair game for everyone at this point. And each year, in my opinion, is a lot of time, right? It just, the world
True.
just goes so fast these days. So it'd be interesting to see. I think Panini and Topps will do a good job still, producing. Hopefully, like, you want to kind of avoid that, right? You just don't want crappy products produced. You want to make sure that the quality's there, and fix the centering issues, guys. Like,
I know, right?
Geez, mix in a little quality control. A little one, like, nice cut, like, use some AI. But I think they do that purposely, right? It's to create scarcity. It's like they hire people that don't care and just cut wherever manually.
I wonder if they start attacking like the, start to try to attack, not non-sports cards trading card market, right? Like Clark, man, Allen and Ginter, man. Like, this is, maybe they go really hard at trying to create, like, legitimately creating a new segment, right? Not just make it niche, but
yeah, like the
celebrity autos.
Topps Chrome, Justin Bieber auto.
Oh, man. whoever gets the Justin Bieber Superfractor, man,
game over. $1 million card right there, man.
You can retire.
seriously.
All right, let's play this scenario out. Just say Fanatics doesn't end up acquiring Topps or Panini. What do you guys think about Fanatics Series 1, Fanatics Series 2 baseball cards?
Oh man, I can't get used to that right now. It's way too early. Nor do I even want to think that is, right? But
Fanatics first Chrome.
See, yeah, you know what? At that point, it makes sense that what you guys said earlier. Like, I'm happy with Fanatics buying out Topps and Panini.
No kidding, right?
And you keep the brand, make it stronger with your use your resources to make it better. That I really like that at the end because, like I said, first Chromes are baseball, right? Topps is baseball. Yeah. You can't lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I do feel optimistic about with all of this news is that Josh Luber, the founder of StockX, reportedly will be heading up this new division of Fanatics.
Right.
And he seems to be legit. Like, he started StockX. He saw the wave of, trading sneakers or seeing sneakers as a collectible item. And then they obviously went into the trading card space as well. I like to hear that those kind of people are in charge. You know what I mean? Instead of executive C-suite guy that, no offense to Eisner who runs Disney, but I think he was the one that is up there with Topps, right? So
yeah.
I wonder what he's thinking about. But he's got other interests in mind too. Obviously, there are major Disney properties that he has to run as well. But it's kind of cool to see someone like Josh, who's in the hobby space anyways,
Right.
kind of, hopefully we can trust someone like that.
Yeah. He's a collector, right? Like,
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's
pretty
a
cool.
plus. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
bonus. Yeah, I mean, companies like that, they need to invest in, if they need to invest in the right guys, right? And that's part of the investments of, purchasing new acquisitions. They have the right people in place that are going to make the difference, right? Kind of like the GameStop scenario, where, once they had enough money, they paid off their debt. They're hiring, big tech, directors, that are running the show that know what they're doing, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed with StockX to be honest. I know they tried getting to the trading card space. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement there on the StockX side. I think they could do a better job, and they have the platform to do it. I just think that everything is so focused away from I guess like the forums, the eBay, stuff like that is all the avenue. There's no one guy like that kind of runs that show, and I felt like StockX could have been that, just because they were so big in the sneaker game and all the other collectibles or bags and all that. So it makes sense, right? But the execution is going to be the key, and this is going to be the same with Fanatics at the end of the day, is that they have the right pieces in place. Can they execute, right? So people like Ruben, I think it's a great move, and it's going to really help the brand moving forward.
I think that's fair, yeah. Any fear of, if Fanatics runs the whole show, especially with the three major sports that quality control will be sacrificed. Like that's always the fear with a monopoly, right?
For sure. And at the same time, that's what I was talking about. As technology increases, we like, who knows? There's a simple solution of, hey, you could cut, perfect centered cards. Like, I'm sure we have the technology to do it. Like, I'm honestly in the print business. It's like, if I were to give one of my clients an uncentered piece of like literature, they're gonna be like, hey, you messed up. I'm not paying for this, right?
Sure.
So it's definitely doable. The question is, like, I think the technology is basically what kind of like it might change the game. Like, we could be talking about it right now, but then next year it's like a total different conversation, and then it goes based on kind of like where we are in society, right? So hopefully they could, invest in like AI technology, because one thing I can't stand is the like discrepancy in grading, for instance. Right? Like how much volatility a card has based on somebody's perception of the grade, right? To me, I would be a lot easier if we had the technology to say that was an actual PSA 10, and it's confirmed because it actually is, right? And then you get into trimming and all those cards, right? Like, you need the technology to kind of like make the hobby better, get rid of the old school like kind of like mentality of the whole grading process, how it's all speculation essentially, and we're relying on human error and all these things for big dollar amount. We're in a big game now. We're in a big market. We need to clean it up, and I think these are the moves that are going to help us get there, right? So
yeah, I feel like it'd be really smart on Fanatics' part. Let's say they everything's official, they do come in, they got the licensing, but they don't buy out the other company, so they don't have the rights to the name Topps Chrome or Panini Prism. They're going to have to do a really good job of, I think there's an opportunity for them to really start to shape up that quality control, number one, to come into the like our mindsets. But number two, they got to like, their team really has to do a good job of feeling out the heartbeat of the hobby community, right? Because think about it right now, sitting here, if none of these Chrome, they don't have licenses, let's say Topps Chrome basketball comes back. They don't necessarily have the license, but it's back. And Fanatics brings out whatever theirs is, Fanatics Silvers or something, right? Like, are we sitting here saying just because Fanatics has a licensing, I'm rushing out and buying Fanatics? Like, to me, it feels really weird, and I don't really feel motivated to buy Fanatics Series 1. It just sounds, I don't know, right? So like, as of right now, I'm sure every hobbyist would be like, yeah, I'm not buying Fanatics. That sounds really weird. Like, I like Topps Chrome. I like Panini Prism. So I think it's gonna. They've got a big, they've got a big responsibility to make sure they feel out the heartbeat of the community, and then cater to the community in the right way, and come out banging, like not just come out like any other poor company, and
Right. That's a good point. Like, I hope they don't make the assumption that because the hobby's booming, the hobby will continue to just go up and up and up if the quality isn't there. This could be, in a way, similar to the junk wax era, like no one's interested in buying these cards anymore because they're so devalued at a certain point. I think we're all in agreement, though, that we're optimistic with this big news, but like a lot of us collectors and others in the hobby, there's a ton of questions that, that we still have. Right. So only time will tell.
That's right.
What'd be really cool is Fanatics is really big in the like authenticated autograph and like jersey space, right? It'd be cool if one day, if let's say they end up getting Panini Flawless or something like that, and instead of like player worn or game worn, Fanatics would know exactly where this game it came from. Right. It's like game used jersey, August 5th, 2021 against like Tatis Padres versus St. Louis or something. Like, that would be really cool.
That'd be amazing.
Like, if a relic card with an autograph had that kind of feature on it, and Fanatics would have that ability, right? Because they probably have a gigantic library of authenticated sports stuff, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I would totally be excited if Fanatics did something like that. And like you said, they definitely have the ability to do that.
Right.
And that would eliminate those rumors where those current game worn relics are people that just wore it once and took it off and then they cut it up into pieces.
Yeah.
Well, the latest, I don't know if it was Treasures or Flawless, but I saw the latest ones were like not specific to any player or game. Or, like
that's
the
what they say,
LaMelo
yeah.
patch is like not even, he might not even have worn it.
They bought it at the store and just ripped it up.
And he just cut it up and put it on.
Okay, just moving on. Now, if that wasn't enough big news from the hobby, just a few days earlier from the Fanatics bombshell news is that PWCC, one of the biggest consigners in the hobby, was accused by eBay of shill bidding, resulting in them being suspended from using eBay as a platform to sell cards. So for those new to the hobby, shill bidding refers to card sellers intentionally putting in fake bids on their own auctions to inflate the final price. So we know shill bidding was always an issue in the hobby in general, but for PWCC, one of eBay's biggest users, to be suspended after being accused of shill bidding, we're talking millions of dollars in revenue eBay is letting go of. So what do you think happened here? That was pretty big until the Fanatics deal came and everyone started talking about that. But yeah,
that was
what are your thoughts?
that was the news. That was the news, and then the Fanatics deal happened. It's like, what's going on? But I think
Fanatics hammer came down.
Yeah, like it's some big news this week. But yeah, I see it as like two ways almost. Right now, people know the history of PWCC, right? For those that don't know, they've been accused of shilling, even trimming, like stuff like that. So there's a lot of pure hobbyists, collectors that they want the hammer dropped on PWCC. They've been waiting for this moment, right? And then I think there's two sides to it where the newer collectors, they don't really understand, so they'll side with the PWCC because I've bought stuff from there and I was fine. Service was fine. I got my card, nothing wrong. They run it like a business, right? But then you got half of the people saying, I don't support them. They shill, they trim cards, they turn a blind eye. So I see that there's a lot going on already on both sides. So you're gonna have a 50-50, like 50% argument on each side. But because some people are like, well, how did eBay turn a blind eye for the last 10 years then? If you're really if eBay's really cracking down, why don't you crack down on everyone then, right? But then that's what my point I said earlier. We live in a capitalistic world. We have to understand there's so many things that happen behind the scenes, and I believe that it's not what it's all cracked out to be in terms of what eBay is claiming, because for me as a hobbyist, it's always been the issue. You mix in, the premier auction now with PWCC and what they're doing, and you got to remember, PWCC is not it's a small time business compared to like eBay as a whole, but we're talking PWCC does some damage with eBay, right? And there's a lot of money going on there, so it's a battle of capitalism, in my opinion.
Yeah. I
felt the same way. I think everyone heard the news when it first broke. They're like, whoa, like this is a gutsy move. Like, good. Some people are obviously like, good for eBay. It's about time. And then when you start to peel back the onions, like, like the layers of the onion, it just makes me think. And then the news broke immediately after the response from eBay saying that they've suspended. PWCC said, hey, you know what? We got our own thing happening anyways. So we're just going to move forward and leave eBay, and we got exciting things coming up. So when you think about that, it's like, man, like your biggest client is, if they knew all along, your biggest client is about to become your main competitor. What, it just seems like this is just a big PR move to try and bash your main competitor coming out of the gates. Before who's gonna be the bad guy here? Who's gonna look bad? And obviously, out of the gates, PWCC kind of looked like the bad guy, right? And I'm sure that's sort of like, this is obviously my opinion, but it's if eBay were to try to knock down a competitor or try to like take one leg off, like this is a perfect move, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I just want to make clear too that nothing's been proven, in the court of law, and there's a lot of strong opinions out there. Like you mentioned, Hyung, off the top of this issue, it's almost like 50-50. You see, even in the comments of Instagram or social media posts, half are pro PWCC, half are pro eBay,
Right.
and they're very passionate on their respective positions. But yeah, it's one of those things where we'll have to see how it plays out, because I think PWCC, in their response to what eBay did, one of their comments is that they're just defaming them, right? So,
sure.
and they're looking into possibly suing them too. So they're holding their ground, right? And I think this is a story that's going to continue, obviously, to develop, and we'll see how it shakes out at the end.
I think PWCC loses a lot more money than eBay's losing. I'll tell you that. Like it's a every day, because they had something like 37,000 listings, right? That were taken down, and I remember somebody on the forums, they were doing the math and what it, like how much eBay was losing as opposed to PWCC, and obviously the size is totally different. eBay is huge. You're not even comparing. Like,
juggernaut.
And it's for eBay, it's such a small fraction for them to lose that, but it's every day PWCC doesn't have their listings. That's millions of dollars that PWCC is not capitalizing on, right? So they're definitely feeling it. Like it's, and you're right, Clark. If I was PWC, I don't know the details, but lawyer up, man, because that's some serious dollars that are gonna be affected by PWCC in the next few months. Even going with their own. Think about this. Like eBay has one of the largest like customer base. That's where your advantage is, right? So I mean, think of the low end stuff. PWCC, that premier auction will be great for the high end stuff. Those prices won't move. They have the right clientele there, but we're talking about the everyday card that that eBay has the audience for those. And this is where I think PWCC might be overmatched, where they're not getting their eyes, because the platform was basically eBay, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting, like you guys say, but I don't think I think PWCC is definitely going to feel it financially, but it'll be exciting to see if, hey, like I said, all this negative news, it's all about change at the end of the day, right? And although we could view this as a negative thing or positive thing, whatever your perspective is, at the end of the day, if it's forcing us to, make ground rules and change and grow the hobby or industry better, if there's more than one eBay, because think, it's like 12% for sellers on eBay. Like after premiums, you're talking 15% or whatever it is you ship out. So it's like there has to be another option, right? And that's where the My Slabs comes in. This is where PWCC might be another player that gives that option, even if they cut fees by half of what eBay's charging. Like for me, that's huge as an everyday seller. I don't necessarily nitpick with eBay fees, because I understand the value it gives, the audience it gives me. So I'm okay with paying a premium fee. I'm just milking it into the cost of the card anyways, right? So I'll take a little hit on the fees for the audience, right? So I think that's where eBay has the advantage, is they're like, we control the game, really. But yeah, it'd be interesting, because I would lawyer up if I was PWCC, because there was they lost on this one.
Yeah, I agree, Hyung. Like PWCC obviously has their specific dedicated clientele. Let's say the folks that go for the $250,000+ types of cards, they're gonna just be sort of like hounding the PWC website. But for our everyday Joes like myself, I mean, think about it right now. Would you, our daily eBay addict move, where we just go onto the eBay app and start searching, am I going to log on to a different app or a different website onto PWCC and search both at the same time, like look at some PWCC and then go back to eBay? No. Like, I mean, right now I'll probably say no, because that's the convenience, and that's why eBay's been so powerful, because it's all like a one-stop shop. I don't have to look at anything else. I'm literally just scrolling through eBay and everything is there. So I think I'm with Hyung. Like, this is really not a good thing for PWCC in terms of like the quantity of their sale game. So I think they got some work to do.
Yeah, and further to that point of what this all hopefully does is make the hobby better, and I'm referring more to the whole issue of shill bidding, right? Like, to my knowledge, there's no legal proof that some of these bigger consigners are participating or are willing participants in it, but I think the hobby in general know that the practice of shill bidding does happen, and even if you can't prove it, the perception is bad enough to kind of really do damage to the hobby. So hopefully something like this issue will try to address those problems. Like, I don't know the answer to this, but how do you get the confidence of collectors again that shill bidding doesn't happen in auctions, and that they can have every confidence that this is a legit auction, right? I don't know if we can take lessons from like more traditional auction houses. I'm sure there's ways like to register, especially for high-end auctions, to register bidders, right. And make sure that these people bidding for them are serious bidders, or like that's one idea.
Yeah, right. No, I agree. I think we need like eBay, for instance, having multiple eBay accounts, like that stuff like that needs to be right. Flagged, because consequences, like somebody could bid and shill bid and they don't have any consequences for their action, right? So
if they don't pay up,
it's
and
like
all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like maybe it's a matter of eBay coming up with, like, when you sign up for eBay, you have your credit card on file for each account, or so when you commit to it, it's charging the credit card, or whatever it is. There's that issues, right, too. And maybe this might be a little personal, where it's you have your social security number or whatever attached to your eBay account, right? But
I was just about to mention that.
Yeah, and that's where it gets a little tough, is like how much info do you want to give at the end of the day, right? So and then you're gonna, as you open up a can of worms, you get another can of worms, right? So it's like
right.
if you try forcing the solution, you're just gonna be faced with a bunch of other problems that you have to find solutions for. So
right. Or maybe this is where blockchain technology comes in.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, that's why it's like we don't know the space that we're getting into, and blockchain technology is gonna come into play. Maybe smart contracts, right? So
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is definitely an ongoing development. So any new news we hear, we'll definitely discuss it on this pod and see what happens. I was really excited for this episode because I really want to discuss with you guys these two major developments in the hobby. And yeah, they're pretty big, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, I'm sure, like everyone else, we're really eager to hear the developing news and both the Fanatics deal and how that unfolds, as well as what's going on with PWCC versus eBay. So we have time for one more segment today, which is On a Budget. And we did this a couple of episodes ago, and basically each one of us will offer a card we would invest in right now for $100, $500, and $1,000. So who wants to lead off this segment?
I'll go first. And Clark, maybe a future episode we add a zero to these too. Make it fun for the high rollers edition, right?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll start with the $100 card. And it's tough, to stay on budget with a $100 card. There's a lot of options, but I'm just gonna go with like a card that I personally like, because I've seen it priced at a lot higher. I think timing-wise, I'm sticking with basketball on these right now. I still think basketball has the best value of your purchases in the summer. I'm going with the John Morant PSA 10 Luminance. It's the dunk on Kevin Love image. It's below I think like $80 right now. So I've seen it as high as $350 maybe in January. So I think it's at its low. I love the card personally. I wish that he actually completed the dunk, because it's kind of those things. It's like, oh, that's such a sick image. You tell your kid or whatever 10 years later, 15 years later, they're like, yeah, but he missed the dunk. It wasn't right. It was the greatest.
Still one of the greatest.
Yeah.
One of the greatest
efforts.
attempts
Yeah.
of all
Is that
time.
right?
Yeah.
That he missed a dunk.
He missed the dunk. Like it
missed
it
it,
was
yeah.
it was so disrespectful. But like
Yeah.
that's what I think made Ja kind of like people really liked him. He was doing stuff like that, right? Like so I think it's such an iconic image. So I'm gonna go with the Ja Morant. It's under $100. You know, the population's 2,500, so it is higher. But at the same time, I think over time it's gonna be a nice little investment if you lock it in the safe.
Agreed. Sure.
Young man, I was sweating. I thought you took my $100 guy. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta like try to think of one on the spot. But anyways, I'm gonna move forward. It's also Ja Morant.
Oh, nice.
I agree that he's just way too cheap right now in basketball. There's so many opportunities in basketball. This number just ended in auction, but it's the Ja Morant Rookie Select Concourse PSA 10, card number 72.
Nice.
One of them just literally the other day ended at $100 on the dot.
Wow.
I think it's insane that this card is at $100. I think it's an absolute great buy. Pop is at around just over 3,000. Yeah, nothing more to say. Ja Morant Select Concourse, $100.
That was on my list too, actually, John. I was going back
nice.
and forth between the two because
Yeah,
that was a good deal.
Luminance was on my list too. That's a great card.
That's funny.
Nice. All right, mine is Ja Morant. No
way.
I was like, no way.
A sweep of Ja Morant. $100 is always the most difficult for me out of the three tiers.
It is.
But I chose Jalen Hurts, 2020 Panini Select Field Level Rookie Card.
Whoa.
The quarterback for the Eagles.
Yeah.
And it's listed as a bin for $99 now. And sorry, it's graded SGC 10. So
Oh, wow.
this is
It's graded,
I'm all on to the SGC grading now. Like I think it's
After the Honus Wagner?
underrated play. Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons. But
Yeah.
I feel like the things I've been hearing after the National is that SGC is like gaining steam, and
Right.
and it doesn't really surprise me because with PSA and BGS both suspending most of their services, like SGC is
Right.
filling that gap right now.
It's a great point because you know how one of the earliest episodes I talked about how like SGC's ratio to PSA 10 value was at like 50%.
Right.
Recently, I've been like monitoring it, and it's been going up by quite a bit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Not surprised. Yeah. So anyway, back to this $100 Jalen Hurts. Like I think I chose it because it's field level. So
Yeah.
for the Panini Select field level is the more rare tier, and football season's just around the corner, and there's a lot of buzz with Hurts. It's all it's partly speculation as well. So I think this could be just like one of those if he hits the ground running, it could be a good quick flip.
Right.
So I like the Jalen Hurts field level rookie card
Beauty.
for $99.
Yeah, I like all field level, courtside. Like for select, that's like my favorite. I guess variation. It wouldn't be a parallel; it'd be more variation, right? So
Yeah, right.
nice.
Cool.
For my $500 one, I'm gonna go with 2018 Trae Young, a green prism, a PSA 10.
Okay.
It's actually a few actually went under 400 at one point, which I think is ridiculous. Especially because his other like a Ruby Wave is selling for like double 900, 1,000 when similar pop counts at like 300, right? For instance.
Right.
So for Trae Young, I know the 2018 like Prism was a hot set with Luka, and they're not easy PSA 10s as well. They're not gem. The 300 is actually a lot lower than I thought it was. So I think under $500 for a parallel of Trae Young, a Prism, which is in my opinion is his best card. I think it's a great deal. I see it a lot higher than that, so that's why I picked it. I think it's on its bottom. I don't. If it goes any lower, I'm constantly buying sub $400 prices. So I'm going to go Trae Young Green Prism PSA 10.
I like it.
All right. Hyung knows I've been on the hunt for this one. We've been chatting about this card this week, but I'm going to shift gears to Upper Deck, surprisingly. But 2001 Upper Deck SP Authentic Preview, Tiger Woods sample.
Yes.
Hyung got me on this card a long time ago, talked about it. His main Upper Deck card, the card number 1 from the regular Upper Deck set, that one is at pop PSA 10 pop 10,000 plus and climbing, because now that those cards are worth something, boxes are just flying off the shelves. I think you can pick up boxes for like $100 or whatever it was. I think it might be $200 now, but people are ripping like crazy to get that Tiger Woods. So I could see that number continuing to grow. Now, when you shift gears to alternative 2001 Upper Deck rookie cards, this one, my personal opinion, I think it looks a lot nicer. It's not the iconic image, but it's white on white. He's wearing a white shirt with the white background. It looks really clean, and it's most importantly, it's pop 235.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So when you're talking about, I think the his regular Upper Deck rookie goes for around 400. This one also goes for around 400. So for my money, I will always choose the low. Like you were talking 235 pop versus 10,000 plus.
Yeah.
For around that $500 mark, which is actually well under it. I like this card a lot.
Nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So my $500 pick is, and this is my last one with SGC grade, but is the 2020 Topps Chrome Louis Robert autograph rookie card, graded SGC 1010 with the auto as well.
Oh, nice.
And that's buy it now offer for $4.99 currently.
That's a deal.
Yeah.
That's a great deal.
Nice.
I'm sure you could get even less because it's or best offer. But yeah, you could just get it now
Wow.
if you want for under $5. But again, it comes down to SGC 10. I think it's an underrated play, and if you look at it compared to PSA 10, like the value is there for especially a guy like Louis Robert to get an autographed rookie card. Yeah, that's nothing more to say.
This episode was brought to you by SGC.
If SGC does want to sponsor this show, we'll be glad to take that call.
That's a great point, Clark. You know the I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the SGC Dual Auto 1010. I've been watching some SGC 1010 auctions, and they are killing it, man. That's where SGC's value is really coming into play, because I think more importantly, obviously the grading is important, but it's the visual, right? I think BGS 9510 versus the PSA 1010, it's pricing wise, like BGS still holds up in that arena, because I think people really like that visual of seeing the two big numbers sort of at once, whereas PSA they kind of like have it like kind of crunched in the corner.
Yeah.
And then now you have SGC come in with two really big, the visual looks great on the slab, right? And when I've been following a couple of auctions on SGC, and man, they are doing that 1010, the dual is doing great in terms of value. Like it's a really good play.
That's a good point. Really,
I'm gonna look at SGC slabs tonight.
And it's just not to harp on SGC, but the SGC Gold 10, which is essentially the equivalent of a BGS Black label.
Right.
Those are going for good dollars. But I think there's value in that too. Like
For
I
sure.
think SGC is going to up their game, and people are going to really go hard on SGC graded cards. But yeah, another thing to look out for.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, for my $1,000 pick, I'm maxing out my budget here. There are a couple $9.99 sales, I guess, but I'm actually gonna go stick with basketball. Like I said, I'm big on the timing of basketball right now, and especially these young stars like the Ja Morants, the Bookers, the Tatums. And I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum. I could get a silver prism, a BGS gem, a true gem, sold for $9.99. Okay,
Nice.
so if you could find a true gem for under $1,000, I think that is a great deal. PSA 10s are going for $2,200 to $2,500, I think.
Right.
You get BGS true gem for under $1,000. I think you're getting a really good deal there, especially a guy like Jason Tatum. Like I said, I'm a huge Tatum fan. I just don't love his card options out there. I don't love his images, how they look.
Right.
But I do like his prism. I think his prism is his best card in my opinion, and I think the silver prism BGS 9.5 under $1,000 is a great buy right now.
Hyung, I love that play. Like if you can't afford a PSA 10 of a good card, like looking for a BGS 9.5 true gem especially, that the value is there. Like
so much value.
Yeah, I love that play.
Yeah. And this can go forward in like future episodes when we start talking about like tips and tricks and stuff. like people have to really start studying ratios, right? If you generally know that BGS 95 True Gem sells for, let's say, 60-70% of the value of PSA 10, when you see an auction like this and it goes for well below the 50% mark, something is wrong here. Either the PSA 10 is too expensive, or that BGS 95 is an absolute steal, right? So when you learn these ratios, this is where you can really take advantage of some steals and opportunities, right? So good one, man. Good one. I'm going to stick with basketball as well. I think we got a pattern here. We're going 1997 Topps Chrome Tim Duncan PSA 10. Pop to just under 2,400. Arguably top 10 NBA player of all time, if at least in the top 15 in almost anybody's list. To get a top 10 NBA player of all time, his main rookie card under $1,000. I actually think some of them snuck under $800.
Nice.
This is like, this is low, man. This is the lowest I've seen this card in a very long time. This is like pre-sports card heat, this is pretty low. So Tim Duncan always, usually falls by the wayside. He's boring, he's unspectacular, but who cares about all that? He's got the rings, he's got the pedigree, he's got the legendary status. My opinion, he's in the top 10. At the $1,000 mark, big time card.
What's the pop report, did you say on that
Just
card?
under 2,400.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, great pick. All right, I'll round off this on a budget segment with the 2016 Bo Bichette Bowman Chrome rookie autograph, BGS 9.5
Nice.
10 auto. And it's funny you mentioned before, John, about the SGC 1010 with the BGS 9.5 10. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's because I not grew up, but when I first got back into the hobby, the BGS 9.5 10 is like what you're looking for in autograph rookie cards in terms of grading. So I just like the look of that. I mean, obviously BGS 1010 is better, but it's so rare. But anyway, the Bo Bichette 2016, his first Chrome is going for $699.99 right now.
Nice.
And I like the pick because, I mean, obviously Vladdy is getting all the attention right now for what he's doing. But I think the gap is just too big between Vladimir and Bo Bichette. I think those guys are going to grow up and just mash together, on this. There's some homer bias there, but I think Bo Bichette, he's going to still produce. And right now he's being a little bit overshadowed by Vladimir, but yeah, give him time. Like he'll get his due. Yeah. And I haven't seen it as low as it is right now. Like preseason, it was like I think over 1,000. You know what I mean? To get even his first Bowman Chrome rookie autos, right, at a BGS 9.5 grading. But yeah, good time to get one now.
Nice.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm a huge Bo. I think he's so underrated, like you said. Some of the prices, it's the same kind of analogy you used, John. It's like what either one's undervalued or one's overpriced, right? Like PSA 10 versus BGS 9.5. This is the same situation. Yeah. Vladdy priced right? Maybe. I don't think he's overpriced necessarily. I think he's still underpriced when you compare him to like Tatis and other bigger stars, right? But I think Bo Bichette is just cheaper in general. But I think for him, his cards are gonna kind of, in my opinion, they're gonna level until that 3 4 mark where he really has to prove himself to be that superstar, which I believe he will be, right? So I'm not worried about that. He reminds me of he kind of reminds me of a Nomar Garciaparra, like a type offensive offensive player, right? So he's going to hit 20 to 30 home runs, driving 100 runs, steal some bags he might be a 30-30 guy, right? And I think like you said, Clark, he's super underrated, and I think especially the Bowman Chromes. Look at all the other superstars. Like I remember I seen a Tatis base PSA 10 non-auto. It's at 1,000. So it's and I know I understand it's Tatis, right? But you're talking about an auto first Chrome, of an All-Star, 22-year-old All-Star, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you said 30-30, I saw Clark's eyes just light up. It's like music to his ears.
Woo, I already have a Topps Chrome Blue Wave of
nice.
Rookie auto.
That's beautiful.
Bichette, so.
Oh, you do? Nice. The fielding image one?
Yeah, the fielding image.
Yeah, that's a sweet card, man.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a buddy who just went all in on Bo Bichette. Like
He
he's
tried
like
taking my bows. He's
Yeah,
trying to buy my
really?
Bo
he was
Bichette's
trying to
off.
actually buy Hyung's bows, and it didn't work out, so he had to look elsewhere.
That's why I talk about Pop Report, because I get, so first somebody messaged me on Facebook about my Luis Robert Clear just randomly, and I was like, no, like he's like lowball, like I don't even want to, like he's saying, is it for sale? I'm like, no. And then he's like bugging me. He's offering me, these lowball offers, and he's trying to justify the reasoning. And I'm like, it's Pop One. What's your reason? What comp are you gonna go off of? But going back to the bows, I have 3 Pop One bows, and John's buddy wanted one of them, right? And I'm just like, geez, I've never really thought about, like, because I told myself I'm just gonna lock them in the safe and forget about it, right? So it's always intriguing when someone kind of goes, but then that's why it's like there's no comps for it, so I don't know the price. They're Pop Ones. So yeah.
True. All right, so that actually wraps up another episode of Cards to the Moon. It's been amazing after just 12 episodes, some of the positive feedback we've been getting from our listeners. And as always, if you've enjoyed the show, we'd appreciate you sharing this podcast with your friends who are into sports cards. And we hope we continue to bring value to you guys. And feel free, to give us a shout or ask any questions to us, via email at hello@fivecardguys.com, or DM us at 5cardguys on Instagram too. And we'd be happy to address the ones we get on our next episode. All right, so until next week then, take care, guys. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.